The IOC just brought back sex testing, a practice abandoned decades ago for causing emotional harm, and this time, it applies to every single female athlete at the Olympics. 1 mandatory gene test. One gene, the SRY gene, found on the Y chromosome. If you carry it, you're out. No appeals based on testosterone levels, no sport-by-sport exceptions. This is the most sweeping eligibility change in Olympic history, and it happened today, March 26, 2026. To understand why this is seismic, you need to know what came before it. In 2021, the IOC released a framework built on inclusion. It said transgender athletes could compete under conditions set by each sport's governing body, usually involving testosterone thresholds and transition timelines. It was messy, inconsistent, and controversial, but it was the most progressive stance any global sports body had ever taken. That framework is now dead. The woman who killed it, Kirsty Coventry, a 5-time Olympic swimming medalist from Zimbabwe, elected IOC president in March 2025. She made reviewing female category protection one of her very first priorities after taking office in June. 9 months later, here we are. But Coventry didn't act in a vacuum. In 2025, U.S. President Trump signed an executive order titled "Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports," threatening visa restrictions and funding consequences for sports bodies that didn't fall in line. The political pressure was enormous. Now here's where the science gets interesting and uncomfortable. The IOC says being born male gives you lasting physical advantages that don't disappear with hormone therapy. They cite 3 testosterone peaks, in utero, during infancy, and at puberty. The numbers they published are staggering. A 10 to 12% advantage in running and swimming. At least 20% in throwing and jumping events. And in explosive power sports like boxing, over 100%. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. The SRY gene test, that's the mechanism. It screens for a gene typically found on the Y chromosome that triggers male sex development. The IOC calls it the most accurate and least intrusive method currently available. Athletes take it once in their career. But here's what the headlines aren't telling you: this doesn't just affect transgender women. It sweeps up athletes with differences in sex development, DSD conditions. Athletes like Caster Semenya, the South African runner who's been fighting eligibility battles for over a decade. Under this new policy, she'd face the same genetic gatekeeping. And then there are the names you know from Paris. Lin Yuting from Taiwan and Imane Khalif from Algeria, both won gold in women's boxing at the 2024 Olympics. Both faced a firestorm of online accusations about their gender. Under this new policy, Lin has already taken the gene test and passed. She's eligible. Khalif is preparing to take hers. Remember, no transgender woman actually competed at the Paris Olympics. Or at Tokyo, for that matter. Laurel Hubbard competed in weightlifting in Tokyo 2021 and didn't medal. That's the entire history of transgender Olympic participation. Critics are already mobilizing. Human rights groups and LGBTQ+ organizations are calling the gene test invasive and discriminatory. Legal challenges are expected, potentially reaching the Court of Arbitration for Sport. In the United States, the Supreme Court is already considering Little v. Hecox, a case about the constitutionality of banning transgender women from female sports teams. Whatever the IOC decides ripples far beyond the Olympics. Every national federation, every university athletic program, every local sports body is watching this precedent. Supporters say this is about fairness. About the milliseconds and centimeters that separate gold from nothing. Coventry herself said that even small margins can determine victory, and that protecting women's sport isn't exclusion, it's preservation. The policy doesn't apply retroactively. It doesn't touch grassroots or recreational sports. It's aimed squarely at the Olympic stage and IOC-sanctioned events, right before the 2028 Los Angeles Games. Follow for breaking news that goes deeper than the headline. Hit subscribe, we catch what everyone else misses. But here's the question nobody's answering yet: if the IOC has now decided that biology is destiny at the elite level, what happens when gene testing reveals things athletes never knew about themselves? What happens to the woman who's competed her entire life and fails a test she didn't know she could fail?